Hello, welcome to WMBF News This Week. I'm your host, Michael Maley. This week, we are focusing on a number of items, including fraud on seniors. And we're talking locally with the Horry County Council on Aging, as well as at the state level with Lieutenant Governor Andre Bauer. Let's get a look at who's all here today. Lieutenant Governor Andre Bauer, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Ray Fontaine, Horry County Director of Area Council on Aging. We appreciate your time as well. And as far as detective work goes, so we've got Michael Kathman with Horry County Police. Talking about a number of scams that are out there impacting seniors and ways that we can be ready to combat that.
Yes, sir.
First of all, we're talking about, of course, the Medicare and the open enrollment, which I believe expires at the end of this month, December 31st. There have already been a number of scams out there involving people being told you've got to pay some money or you owe some money to enroll in this. Of course, that's wrong, and we're going to show a story here in a little bit. But first of all, on a grand scheme across the state, this is something that's been important to you to alert these seniors. Well,
over the years, we've had a lot of bad instances where seniors were taken advantage of. But we've had a lot of good things happen where we've had someone that was in a teller line that saw somebody go with a senior and try to get the money taken out. They immediately called the police department, and you know that they got all that money back. It was $80,000. Wow. And so people have been reactive. They've been responsive, and the 1-800 number has worked, and people like Ray have done everything they could to get the word out. So we've been very blessed in this state. There are still people every day that are taken advantage of in South Carolina.
And Ray, you know that as well too. Here in Horry County, a very sizable population of seniors that are depending on these funds, but you're seeing a lot of people still trying to target them.
We really do. We've got a large population of senior citizens here in Horry County, and unfortunately there are so many people out there preying on them. And our seniors sometimes fall victim to these kinds of scams, and for a number of reasons I think that they get caught up in it and are unaware of ways out. And we try to offer them solutions by giving them telephone numbers to call to check out these businesses and other types of scams that people get caught up in.
And as far as those scams, they run the gamut, unfortunately, and Michael Kathman, you can confirm that.
Yes.
All types of scams. Give us kind of some summaries of things that people are potentially being victimized with.
Well, what I want to make everyone aware of recently here was we've had 2 reported cases within the last several months involving, it's a scam involving where a grandparent receives a phone call from someone identifying themselves as their grandchild. Mm-hmm. They then advise their grandparent, or they believe, is their grandchild speaking, that they've been arrested in Canada on a drug charge and require bail money in order to be released. At that point, another individual gets on the phone and identifies themselves as a police officer and provides instruction to the grandparent on how to send the funds, which in these 2 particular cases is usually a wire transfer. At that point, once that wire transfer is completed, unfortunately, there's a very slim chance of getting that money back.
And that's at least 2 cases here in Horry County
yes,
that you've
recently.
looked into?
Yes.
And again, it seems like from all offices and here with the media, we can only so many times say, be diligent, don't give out money, and verify everything you can. But the problem, I guess, is that seniors maybe are so trusting and they don't expect these kind of scams, and maybe they don't watch TV as much as others to know what's going on.
And the other aspect of that scam is that the person posing as a grandchild is telling the person that they don't want their parents to find out. Right. And that leads the grandparent to not contact their children to verify where the grandchild actually is.
Very frustrating. We're going to talk a little bit more about those scams. I do want to touch on the open enrollment category and some of the scams associated with that. WMBF News reporter Kyle Granger covered this topic regarding open enrollment and some potential scams that we want you to be aware of. Take a look.
Grady Edwards has been on Medicare for 5 years, and he says over the next month, he'll have some decisions to make, trying to figure out which plan works best for his needs at a price he can afford.
The benefits went up, and I'm gonna try to find a cheaper plan.
It's part of the process that some 700,000 seniors all over the state are going through as they look over 54 different options on how to pay for drugs. The problem is not every plan covers every drug or costs the same, which is why Lieutenant Governor Andre Bauer says seniors have a lot of thinking to do during open enrollment.
If I think I'm going to be taking another drug in the future, if I think that my income level will change, there's a multitude of different scenarios that can change which plan they should be on.
Bauer also reminds seniors to watch out for scam artists who will try to prey on vulnerable seniors, collecting personal information. He says his office won't call you directly for that information, but as you figure out the best option for you, you can always call them for help as the end of open enrollment comes closer to that December 31st deadline.
They're pretty cheap, so that's I'm gonna find a plan that's cheaper monthly premiums and that'll serve my needs.
And that was Kyle Granger reporting for us tonight. Now, again, just to put in perspective, there are about 700,000 or so seniors in the state of South Carolina. Ray Fontaine just saying roughly, before the latest census, roughly how many in Horry County?
Well, 60 plus individuals in Horry County. There's 56,000.
Okay, that are 60 years or older.
60 or older, yes. And I tend to believe that that number will jump dramatically in this newest census.
So critical then, as we said, when we talk about the open enrollment, people being confused about numbers, the dollars that they've got to spend. We've tried to clarify it. I know the state has tried to kind of clarify it as well too, but you can never be too cautious or too safe as far as doing things by the book and not being taken advantage of.
Correct. There's various ways to, basically the frauds that you look at are going to involve the theft of your finances or your identity. There's various ways in order to try and prevent that, as far as some recommendations we make is shredding your financial or personal documents before discarding them, making sure your identification and credit cards are safeguarded, don't leave them unattended. One big thing I would mention is not to carry your Social Security card in your wallet or your purse. It needs to be kept in a secure location. Even within your home, if it's a situation where there's a roommate or you employ outside help or are having work done at your home, to make sure those items are secure.
That's key for sure. And just in the break here, you're talking about some staggering numbers regarding Social Security. Give us some perspective on that as we change gears and talk about funding for a lot of these programs and a lot of these things that so many seniors here in Horry County and across the state rely on.
Well, we're in the biggest county in the state for in-migration of seniors. Most folks know that by now. And we're looking at about 700 to 800,000 seniors in South Carolina. But here's a staggering number. People like my parents, the baby boomers. We have 1.2 million baby boomers in South Carolina, but this is the most startling number I've seen yet. Starting in January, every day, 10,000 people will sign up for Social Security a day, every day for the next 20 years. 10,000 people a day, every day for the next 20 years. Wow. And so we're going to have to prepare for this graying of South Carolina and this graying of America.
And no one can have the easy answer of how we prepare as far as getting funds and getting this disseminated, but what are ideas, if any, that are kicked around? And do you see any future for anyone here, really, as far as funding some of this?
I can tell you locally, one of the ways that we've been able to jump over those financial hurdles is to collaborate with other agencies, to join forces. It's near impossible now to get enough funds to take care of these numbers. We are constantly facing waiting lists for services here in the county for seniors, and by joining up with other people, it's possible then to at least meet those minimum needs.
And I guess the biggest thing it starts with is making sure at least that fraud is kept under control as best as possible.
Correct. And I think the best way, from a proactive approach, is to be involved in forums like this where we can get the information out to the people so that they know how to protect themselves from it and recognize it when they're confronted with it.
That's really key. And I suppose not to tie up the 911 lines, but anybody out there can track down the non-emergency number for Horry County if they feel like they've been victimized. And you would say, call Horry County Police, sure. Call whichever police jurisdiction you're in if you feel like maybe someone's trying to solicit money from you unfairly. Absolutely.
I would say if it hasn't occurred yet, absolutely. If it has occurred, identify where the violation has taken place, whether it's a financial account or whatever means, and contact whatever company and minimize the damage, and then we can, they can get a hold of law enforcement, but try and minimize the damage first.
And with a minimum of 56,000 right here just in Horry County alone, people aged 60 or older, there is unfortunately a pool for people to target.
Oh, there really is. We'd be remiss if we didn't thank Andre Bauer as Lieutenant Governor over these years for starting this fraud investigation and bringing a focus to it. I think many councils on aging around the state have joined together to have telephone numbers or trainings to be aware of what to look for. Seniors who tend to have a trust level with us, they'll call us even though they're embarrassed about what happened to them. They feel very violated and they don't want other people to know that that's happened to them. It's become easier to call folks at places like the Council on Aging who will listen to them and not make judgment. over it.
And that's key, that they aren't going to be judged at all. And Andre Bauer, I suppose, with this toll-free line that people can call, maybe they do feel a little bit more comfortable knowing they can get to it.
We want them to call us 1-800-868-9095, but we want people to feel comfortable and let us know what's happened to them so that other people don't fall victim just as they have.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're going to talk a lot more about the scams affecting seniors here in Horry County and across the state with Lieutenant Governor Andre Bauer, Ray Fontaine, and Michael Kathman. We'll be right back. Stay close.